Timmy's and hockey, syrup and bacon, Molson and Mounties at your can stations, throwing on some cheese and gravy on top of our fries. That's a poutine. And we wear our plaid sweaters when we walk amongst the northern lights. Rockies and prairies, oceans and lakes, other than winter, all the seasons are great. Brushing off the snow a little longer than we'd like. But you won't hear us complaining, 'cause that just wouldn't be polite. No, man. 'Cause up here in Canada, the air's clear, the weather's adequate, we all cheer. We're pretty passionate, and everybody has a pet polar bear and a moose. Yeah, up here in Canada. Celsius, kilometers, prime ministers and provinces. We maybe say it different, but we always keep our promises. We said we'd win the gold back in 2010, and we did. But because we're so nice, we'll let you win every now and again, but not too much. 'Cause up here in Canada, we like beards. We think they're fabulous. We don't fear if people laugh at us for wearing 6 pairs of long underwear. Yeah, up here in Canada. Basketball, telephones, wonder balls and hockey, snowmobiles, ketchup chips, and even walkie-talkies. Peanut butter, garbage bags, the mighty foghorn. Just a few things that you can thank us for. Shatner, Carey, Myers, Gosling, Reynolds, and Reeves. Candy Short, Michael J, and all of Schitt's Creek. Celine, Shania, Adams, Bieber, Bublé, and Drake. We're sorry about Nickelback, yeah, that was a mistake. We're sorry. We're sorry. Yeah, we're sorry, eh? We're so sorry. 'Cause up here in Canada, we like beer and our cannabis. And each year, we all get taxed a bunch, but everybody gets free health care. And a goose. Yeah, up here in Canada.
Welcome everybody to our webinar today, the last in the series of 3 in the Canada You Can Go series of how to get a job, work permits, express entry, and how express entry ties all the programs over the last 3 days together. Welcome each and every one of you. I see some people have put in there. If you haven't put in the chat box yet, tell us where you're coming from. I see London, Scotland, UK, Trinidad, Kenya, Spain, Italy. Fantastic. I don't see Wagwan, Jamaica. I don't see any Jamaica there. But put it in there where you're coming from. This is an interactive webinar. Make sure whatever questions that you have, you are putting them in the chat room, and we will endeavor to get to those towards the end of today's program. It's going to be a quicker one today because we don't have that many topics to go through. So ladies and gentlemen, my name is Dennis Brazel. I am the owner of the company Brazel Migration Group, and I've been practicing immigration now over 28 years. I am a licensed immigration consultant, and that is important to you because if you are going to work with anybody, you need to make sure they are a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. Myself and Helen are both regulated. Helen has been with us the last 2 days, and she's no longer with us. She's not on today's webinar. She's fine. Her health is okay. But we are looking at making sure that you're protected, that you're getting the relevant and proper information. Hopefully you've done some other companies' webinars before, and you're going to realize you've now come to the best. So as you can tell from my accent, I am Canadian. Now, my origins are a little bit different, but everywhere you can see on that map, I have been to, with the exception of the territory of Nunavut. 10 provinces, 3 territories, and I've been fortunate enough to have traveled my country intimately. I've been to every place you can see. I've also been lucky enough to travel a lot around the world, and there's not a lot of places I have not been to. So I am Canadian, but my origins are Italian. My grandparents immigrated from Italy many, many years ago, and the way they had immigrated makes me an Italian citizen. So I have 2 passports. I have an Italian passport and I have a Canadian passport. So I'm very lucky. And this is the reason why I was able to live and work in the United Kingdom well before Brexit, when I had my immigration firm there. And I was practicing there in the Netherlands, in Maastricht, and obviously back here in Canada. So these are my origins, are Italian, and these are my grandfather's papers. These are 100 years old as of June, so a couple of months ago. My grandfather came in 1923 at the age of 22 years old. You'll see there it says object of coming to Canada was to establish oneself. 100 years later, that hasn't changed for a lot of people. Money in his pocket upon arrival was $25, which I did my research and found out that was the minimum amount of money you had to have in 1923, equivalent to the amount of money you have to have today. Medical questions: does he have any tuberculosis? No. Are there any physical defects? And the answer was no. So that's my grandfather on my father's side. My grandmother on my mother's side immigrated from the United States 5 years previous to my grandfather, and all she had to do as an American citizen was registered at the local police department, and these are her immigration papers. So I have 2 citizenships, Canadian and Italian. And I married Debbie, and Debbie was born British. Her family immigrated to New Zealand when she was 2 years old. And Debbie grew up in New Zealand, and she has 2 passports, a British passport and a New Zealand passport. Well, we have 2 sons, Massimiliano and Alessandro, and they have all 4 passports. They are Italian, they are Canadian, they are British, and they are New Zealand citizens. I've always liked this photo. They've said, Dad, update this, because Max is actually, 23, and Alexander is going to be 17. This is us tearing down their tree fort in the backyard during COVID. So we have helped people from all over the world. Your flag is more than likely there. I don't think there's a country we've not represented. So everybody get to the chat room right now. I want to know your reasons. Why are you looking to immigrate? Let me see some of the reasons right now. What's motivating you to be on this webinar today? Let's see what you've got here. Type, type, type. Someone's typing. Let's hear it. Let's see them. To study from Seychelles. What else do we have coming up? To better care for my family from Latoya. And more reasons coming up. They're all going to come at one time. For work from Yasin. Let's see what we've got coming in. I can't do this, guys. I guess you're getting the reflection off my head. I'll get heck from Donna later. To work, betterment for my family from Joy and Maxine. To work and stay connected with my sister. Does she want to stay connected to you? Studying in the UK, working. Yeah, okay. The reasons why you want to migrate don't change. And like I said, I've been doing this for 28 years. And the reasons why you want to immigrate are more than likely on the board that you can see right there. It doesn't change. The reasons are personal, okay? But how long you've been thinking about it, you might have to start doing something now. So what I want to know again in the chat room is to go there, and how many, is this your first webinar with us? Is it your second webinar, third webinar, fourth webinar? Are you a webinar junkie? Is this your 104th? Let me see how many times you've been to our webinars here. First time for a lot of people. Excellent. Well, you're going to enjoy the show and get a lot of good information today. Just make sure you pay attention and you're not doing something else. If you're on a phone, it's a little bit limited. If you're on a laptop or a tablet, it's a lot better. So Canada has these 6 main visa categories: economic, temporary classes, business categories, family, provincial nomination, and finally humanitarian compassionate ground. Us as a company, we unfortunately don't deal with the humanitarian or compassionate ground application. We don't have the skill set for this. This is not our expertise, but we do excel in all the others. You're probably going to hear Donna and myself use some jargon. So this slide is what kicks us to remember. Anybody who would like a copy of today's slides, send an email to info@braslogroup.com. Sarah will put that in the chat room right now, and you can request a copy. Don't put it in the chat here. You have to send an email to us, and we're happy to send you a copy of today's webinar either tonight or tomorrow. So about the company, Braslog Migration Group and Canada Business Migration. Well, we are boutique immigration firms. We are located in Ontario, Quebec, Nova Scotia, and Manchester, United Kingdom, but we do travel around the globe to help people out left, right, and center. I am supported by a very strong team of managers, Helen Brereton, who's been with us the last 2 days, and the one and only Donna Vellucci, our careers and relocation manager, and Amanda Morgan, who was with us the last 2 days. I'm not here tonight. Again, her health is fine. Supporting your client is your team, not my team, but your team. And you're going to notice that people have different flags by their name. The different flags recognize the nationalities that they do have. So you're going to see people are pretty much, I think everybody's got their Canadian citizen. You see Daniela has 3. So lucky lady there. Today's moderator that we have putting in the chat room is Sarah. Sarah will be answering some of your questions and helping you out if you're having any technical difficulties. We have 3 main divisions in the company. Once you are ready to be coming out to Canada, our relocation division can help you with things like buying and renting a property in Canada, getting your kids into school, relocating your pet's driver's license, and things of this nature. Things you may not have thought about just yet, which are going to be paramount to your finals when you finally get here. We have an employment division, and tonight's webinar is dedicated to this because some of you will need a job in order to get a visa. Others are going to be able to get a visa without needing a job first. But by far, our biggest division is the visa specialist, because without the visa, nothing else is going to happen. And this is what people keep forgetting. We talk about a consultation that we offer later. People think, I already know I have the points. That's a blueprint. You do not know how to build the house yet. And this is where our expertise comes in for you. So we become your partner in migration if you want us to. Okay, we're going to give you immigration strategies that are going to be essential so you get this right the first time. Plain and simple. Because preparation is key and critical. What you're going to see at the top right now, it's going to be offered at the very end of the show. But if you're not going to be with us, I would click it now. Where it says press here, it brings you to your private consultation. And this is the form that we need filled in. It's 3 pages if you're single. It's 4 pages if you're a couple. So you don't need to do it each. It covers all of them. And this is going to set up a private meeting with us to be able to discuss your immigration strategies. The normal price of this is 112 Canadian dollars. We've been doing a Black Friday special Tuesday, Wednesday of this week, and this will finish very soon. So you have an opportunity of doing your whole assessment, but the private meeting all together in one for 35 Canadian dollars, about 21 pounds. So it's invaluable, people. I highly recommend you do it. You might not have a meeting this week or next week. You might have a meeting in a month. It's up to you, but you can get the discount by doing the evaluation today. The private consultation is $35. It's done through PayPal. There's no other way of getting the discount. You do not need a PayPal account. Work your way all the way through until the very end, as if you had a PayPal account, and you finally get to a credit card stage where you can pay with Visa, MasterCard, Amex, or if you have a PayPal account, you could do it there. So those that are watching on YouTube, again, you only have this opportunity until the weekend, until Sunday night. So what do we offer? We offer expertise, but we do provide these shows. So if you're not with us on Monday, we provide an overview of all immigration programs, and we delve into the provincial nomination, family, class, and study categories. Yesterday, we went into business opportunities because this is the fastest way to immigration to Canada. If you want that discount evaluation, that bar will be gone in 10 seconds. So you need to click that bar now before it's gone. And today, obviously, we're talking about how to get a job, work permits, and express entry, tying all the programs together. We do offer full expos. These full expos are online. They're about 5 hours. Again, they don't cost any to attend, but we go through an awful lot. Okay. We go with people who are moving and shipping, moving your money, moving your pets, young Canadians and their experiences here, videos on all the provinces in Canada. So it's quite a bit of time, but we provide the agenda so you know what timings things are. And we're pretty good on that. We also offer a mini web expo. So for those that can't do a 5-hour one, we have a 2.5-hour condensed version. Last one we had was at the beginning of this month. I don't know if anybody here had joined us for that. And we also offer the private consultations that we're offering you at this massive discount. We do it in Montreal, Ireland, the UK, Jamaica, TT, and we also do via Skype if we're not going to your country. Finally, as a company, what we do provide, which we'll have on Monday, is we have a private client webinar just for our clients. And we're giving them the latest insights and secrets on what's going on with immigration so they're better advanced and prepared and making sure they're going to be able to obtain what it is they're looking for. That's an introduction to today's webinar. Living and working in Canada, this is what it's all about. Let's go into the job side of thing. And I'm very pleased to introduce the one, the only, who should be swirling at this point in time, but I don't see her yet. One Miss Donna Vellucci, which I can't say I'm catching her off guard. She knows. There we go. You did this.
Hello.
You did this on purpose.
Can you hear me?
Everybody can hear you.
Okay, good.
The world can hear you.
Good. Because you said I was swirling. I was swirling. But
No, I said I don't see you swirling.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. No, I am here and I was ready, but I didn't know the agenda. So I was just guessing that I was going to be quite early on. So
How are you doing tonight, Donna?
Fine. I'm fine. It's getting cold here, but hey, it's nearly winter.
But please let everybody understand that even in the summertime, you'll still have that scarf and mittens on. Please let people know this is not the tundra that you're living in.
No, it's 10 degrees here in Nova Scotia today, so that gives some perspective on it. And it's about 20 degrees in this room. But yeah, I'm frequently dressed like this. I probably don't wear this sort of outfit for probably about 1 to 2 months a year, but that's just because I'm a really cold person.
Mine's, how about days?
All right.
I'll let you go. I'll come back later.
All right, thank you. Okay, so hello everyone and welcome. I am Donna Vellucci and I am the Careers and Relocation Manager at Brazelot Migration Group. And I've been helping job seekers and employers in Canada for the last 18 years. So it's such a long time. But anyway, so let me tell you a little bit about myself. I moved to Canada in 2003 from the UK. That may be obvious to some of you by my accent. And since 2003, I've lived in 4 different provinces in Canada. So I've lived in Manitoba, Quebec, Ontario, and today I'm joining you from Nova Scotia. And for the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you some key job searching steps that will ensure that you are ready to begin your employment search. Okay, so preparation is essential for both your immigration file and your employment file. So you are going to need to take some time to get ready, as it's not only going to save you time, but it will ensure that you don't miss an opportunity. So what should your preparations include? Well, first of all, you're going to need to do some research and put together an employment file. So it's not just about rushing out and making applications. You do have to prepare and make sure you've got the right documents, the right CV, cover letter, etc. ready. So when preparing your employment file, you are going to need to know your occupation code, because every occupation in Canada has a code that describes the role, the employment requirements, and the duties. And knowing yours is important for not only your employment file, but also your immigration file. Within the occupation codes are example job titles, which may actually be different to the current job title that you're using in your home country. So make sure you choose the correct job title when searching for positions. Make sure that the job title under the occupation code matches the duties that you're currently performing and the description. Once you do know that occupation code, you will need to know if your occupation requires some type of certification or registration in Canada. So if you're a nurse, for example, you're going to need to be registered in Canada before you can work as a nurse. If you're an engineer, etc. Or if you're an electrician, you're going to need some type of certification before you can start work. So it's really important to know what certification or registration is required before you start making employment applications. So once your initial research is done, you can move forward with preparing to apply. And a good place to start is knowing where the opportunities are advertised by identifying the most appropriate job boards. So it's doing some research to see which are the best job boards for you based on your occupation. Okay, so there are many job boards available online, which may be familiar to you. So you'll probably know some of the ones posted here, like Monster, Workopolis, Indeed, etc. I do recommend that you use these, but I do also recommend that you do some research and you use job boards that are specific to Canada, which you may not be familiar with. So there are some local job boards as well as national ones and industry-specific job boards. So do some research based on where you're going to or where you want to live in Canada, and also based on your occupations. There may be some specific job boards just for your occupation. And once you've identified the best job boards for your search, you should create accounts and set up profiles if this is an option that's available. For a lot of job boards, it is available now because it will save you time in the long run. You can create an account on Indeed, for example, create an online resume or CV and cover letter. And so when you see a job that you wish to apply for, you can just use that information to make an application fairly quickly. Okay, so we're all using apps to make tasks easier, and you can use them when job searching. So they can help you organize your job search and can save you some valuable time. Some of the apps do allow you to create a CV, and they will match you with open jobs and also allow you to apply directly from the app. Canada's Job Bank, which is the National Job Board, has an app. So if you've not downloaded that one and you're looking for employment in Canada, that is definitely one I recommend that you do download as soon as possible. Okay, so it is really, really tempting to, puts a smile on my face, that photo. Well, it's really tempting to apply for absolutely every position posted. So you may see positions, think, well, I can do that, I can do this, I can do that. That's not a problem. But you should not do that, because you want to match positions with your skill set. Okay, you need to keep your employment search really focused. So take a look at what you've been doing in your work during the last 5 years and look at the skills that you've obtained, the job titles, the duties, keywords, etc. Note them down, and then you can use those to conduct your job search to make sure that it's focused, okay? Because most jobs will require some type of experience, and even if you're offered the job, you're going to need to be able to prove that experience or that education, whatever's required for the job in order to be able to obtain a work permit. With Canada being such a large country, it is a good idea to focus your job search on a specific area or region. So do make sure that you choose an area or region that has a demand for your skill set before you begin applying for positions. There are some areas of the countries where certain positions are going to be in demand or available, and other areas of the country, those positions won't be available or as high in demand. So make sure you have a look at that before you start actually making some applications. Okay, so researching companies. So not all companies list available positions on job boards. And if you do limit your applications to applying for positions on job boards only, you may lose out on an opportunity. It's a really good idea to research companies within your industry. So if you're in the aerospace industry, do conduct some research, find out who the big players are and the smaller ones too, and the regions where they're located, and then start creating a list of those companies to contact. Some of those companies may actually be advertising on their own websites instead of on a job board. So if they are, do make an application. And if they're not, then it's worth submitting a speculative application to get your foot in the door. Building a professional brand and network is also important. It's particularly important for professional occupations, but I do recommend it for all job seekers. You should, at the very least, create a profile on LinkedIn, but using Facebook and other networking sites is also possible. When doing this, make sure that your CV or your resume that you submit to companies, so the paper copy of your CV matches the profile that you create on LinkedIn, because your LinkedIn profile is a reflection of your education and your work history, etc. And you want the information to match up. You want to make sure that none of the information is conflicting. So make sure that you've got the same dates, etc., where you've worked, what the job titles are, that they're all consistent across both those documents. If an employer sees that you have information that's not consistent, it may raise questions or concerns, or it just may make them bypass your application. So that is an important step to take. If you do already have social media accounts, which I'm sure that you do, review them and tidy them up, okay? Potential employers will scan your social media before even contacting you. So make sure that you create the right impression. So tidying that up before you start your job search is really important. Once you've created those profiles, don't stop there. Start connecting with companies, professional associations, and people you know who may be resourceful. Join groups and contribute to topics of interest, as the more you engage, the more you'll be seen. But do keep all engagement positive, okay? So everything that you post, you must keep positive, even if you're feeling disheartened or not very happy that day. So make sure everything is completely positive. All right, so making a match. As I mentioned before, you need to focus your job search. So before rushing in and applying for every position, take some time to match the requirements for the position with your skill set, okay? So if a job is posted that's looking for 5 years of experience and you only have 1, then you're not meeting the requirements of the position, okay? But if a job posts that you need 5 years experience and a bachelor's degree, but you have 10 years of experience and no bachelor's degree, then it's still worth applying, okay? So do check the requirements carefully, and if you meet 80% of the listed requirements, submit an application, but use your common sense. Okay, so when making your application, submit the application using the method noted in the job posting. So if it's an online application, make sure that you complete their online application. If they want to receive it by email, make sure you do that. If you don't follow this simple instruction, you may not be considered further. Remember to note the requisition or the job number and the job title clearly in the subject line of your email. Do also note down if the job posting specifically tells you to note something in the subject line so they can identify it. So follow the instructions really, really carefully. Do not submit an application without your cover letter and CV unless the online process does not allow you to upload them. Sometimes it doesn't. There's an online form that you've got to fill out, and that's the only thing you can do to apply for the job. So it's not always possible, but if you can, then definitely do it. Creating a Canadian CV in line with employers' expectations is invaluable. Make sure that you know what to include and what to leave off, okay? The format can be very different in Canada to what you're used to. I've looked at thousands of CVs from around the world, and some of the information that's noted on a CV from some countries is not what employers expect here in Canada, and it's information that should not be noted on a CV. So make sure you do some research and you update your CV or your resume to comply with Canadian standards. When you do apply, keep note of all the details, the date of submission, and try to follow up with the company after 7 to 10 days, okay? It's not always possible, but if you can, do try to do so to show your commitment level to that position and immigrating to Canada. You are going to be really, really fortunate if your first round of applications result in success. It will most likely take quite a few applications and some time before you receive an interest. Most often, an employer will not contact you unless they're interested. So if there's no news, then you just need to move on to the next application. Don't sit around waiting for responses. Continue on your search. And sometimes it takes an employer weeks before getting back to a potential candidate if they're interested, just because of heavy workloads. Okay, so Canada does have over 150,000 jobs on the Job Bank, which is the National Job Board for Canada. But this figure is not really a true representation of the jobs available. It's suggested to actually be 10 times this amount. So based on the high number of positions available and our experience, there are no shortage of jobs in Canada, only a shortage of workers. So we desperately need workers from all skill sets in the country during 2024. Once you have secured employment, so once you have a certified employment offer, you are going to need to apply for a work permit. And Dennis is going to rejoin us and he's going to talk about work permits with you now.
Thank you, Donna. How many times have we seen a CV cover letter, or it's insert name here? It's like people, Donna's talking about. I mean, we've got the tips and the tricks to give to you, and that's what we're all about, is to make sure you're going to not make these types of mistakes, because sometimes you just is proofreading, really. But the one thing I like, Donna, is we've had a couple of clients before that had 3 interviews lined up, got the job offer in the first interview, canceled the next 2 interviews. Think, I got the job, so I don't need to do the other 2. And then that job offer got revoked because something happened. So people, it's something that Donna excels in. So when you are working with us, follow her lead.
Yeah, I always say you don't have a job offer until I say you've got a job offer.
We'll see you back for questions and answers, Donna.
All right, thank you.
If you're just joining us, my name is Dennis Braza, and I'm the owner of the company. I'm also a licensed recruiter in the provinces that we need to be in Canada. But more importantly, I am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant, which is for your protection, helping you go through the legal issues of now getting the work permit. So yes, you've got a job offer, and the employers are by law cannot do anything with immigration. Okay, so you're going to have to get a work permit, and I'm going to walk you through the legal and the visa issues and what it's all about. So you will have to go through application forms. They could be online. They could be paper, depending on the country that you're coming from. But as we talk about, preparation is key and critical. Donna talked about your employment file. Now I'm going to talk about the immigration file. And what we're looking at is this. For a temporary visa, a work permit, 4 key components: an LMIA, Labor Market Impact Assessment. You've got to be qualified to pursue the occupation, paying the prevailing wage rate, and if you have a spouse or partner or children, what happens there. So when we look at the LMIA, this costs the employer $1,000 per person when they're making an application to sponsor a foreign job. They're not sponsoring you, they're sponsoring the job to come to Canada. So if they do like your profile and if they're willing to go forward, they're being quite serious about it, because $1,000 is not chump change. It's not a make or break, but it shows the employer is serious about helping you get this work permit. And that's something they have to initiate, not you. So the Labor Market Impact Assessment shows that the job offer being offered to you is positive or neutral to that local labor market. It's not going to adversely affect anybody. They've got to show it's been advertised for competition, and they've got all kinds of other criteria that we walk through the employer with of what they're going to have to go through. But these are the main ones, okay? You can't have a job offer if they've not offered it to Canadians or permanent residents, because that is our law. Canadians and permanent residents first. Foreigners, you are second. But that's fine, because they can show the shortage and they haven't been able to find the skilled labor. So are you qualified to pursue the occupation? Do you have the relevant experience? So if you've got a cousin that's got a restaurant in Flin Flon, Manitoba, and you've been working as a mechanical engineer all your life, and they say, tell immigration, I'll give you a job as a cook, you're not qualified to pursue that occupation. Canada will see through that file, and you will not be approved. The ease to the employer is paramount. This is what, when we have our private meetings and we go through this with you, what people aren't understanding. We make it absolutely easy for the employer to hire you. Everything will be done before you first meet the employer. Your application is perfected, ready, willing, and able. All the employer has to do is say yes and do their part. This becomes important because immigration, the employer knows they have to wait, but they don't want to wait long. So they want to make sure that you're ready, plain and simple. It's got to be easy for the employer. So hiring a Canadian or permanent resident, they're here. They don't need any special authorization. You do. You've got to make this easy for the employer. Are you worth the wage? Because the prevailing wage rate is something that must happen or nothing's going to happen. Okay, so the employer has to pay the prevailing wage rate. What does that mean? Well, you've got to do some research, which we help you with, and you've got to find out that the prevailing wage rate will change province to province, city to city, job to job. So as an example, we've used a welder. In Canada, the median wage for a welder is $25 an hour. So that's the average across the country for someone with experience. In Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, it's $20.50. And in Wood Buffalo, Alberta, it's $44. This is the low end for someone who's just started in welding. And this is someone who may have 10, 20 years of experience. This is what you must accept. You can only take a job that's paying the median wage. If it pays 1 penny less, the job offer will not be approved. So you need to know who's offering what and what type of money. This is important. But that prevailing wage rate will knock off quite a few jobs, because for every 15 jobs you're going to find, only 4 will potentially qualify. When I say potentially, it might hit the wage, but maybe that company already has an overallocation of foreign workers there already. They won't get an approval for another one. So you really are only looking at 27% of the jobs available that is going to be eligible for you to go after and go forward on. We're helping you with this step by step. Your spouse or partner, if you have one, are allowed to work from day one. You have a work permit tied to that employer. You can't work for anybody but that employer, but your spouse or partner can. They have an open permit. They can work anywhere they want and do anything they want. There's very few restrictions. Your children 4 to 18 years old attend school free of charge. And if you have 18 to 22-year-olds in some of the provinces in Canada, they can go on to secondary education, college, universities at normal domestic rates, not the foreign school rates. And you're going to be getting free medical coverage in Canada when you're here on your restricted temporary work permit. Plain and simple. We're going to give you that benefit there. So you have to remember there are positives and negatives to a work permit. The issues are they're for a fixed term. They're good for 1, 2, 3, or 4 years. It's visa specific to the employer. If you have a work permit for Bob's Plumbing, you're allowed to work for Bob's Plumbing. You see that Joe's Plumbing is offering a little bit more money and they want you. You can't go work for Joe, not on your work permit. You have to break it and get a new one. It's sponsored by the employer of the job. They are not sponsoring you. They're sponsoring the job. But the job being sponsored will offer you benefits if you want to move on to a permanent application, because it doesn't automatically lead to a permanent visa, but it will give you bonus to be able to make a permanent visa application. You have to know which one is tactical and proper and right for you. That is your work permit. Now we're getting into the express entry. We've done all the other programs. Now we're finishing off with the final 3, okay, and how it all ties in together. Coming under skilled trades category is quite simple. You're a carpenter, a bricklayer, electrician. You are a tradesperson, and the qualifying criteria are: you must plan on living outside the province of Quebec. You must meet the required levels of English or French, meaning you have to take a English or French test. And the levels that you need to score are approximately 40%. Okay, to give you a percentage, that's what you need to score on the English or the French. You have to have at least 2 years of skilled experience in the previous 5 years. You meet all the job requirements set out in the definition of your occupation in Canada. So if our definition says you must have high school, then you must have high school. If you must have a 2 or 3 year diploma, you must have it. If it says usually requires, then it's not a mandatory component, and we're helping you with this. The final parts of the skilled trade category, it's an either or, A or B. 1, have a job offer, come to Canada either with a work permit or waiting to get the work permit, or already have the license in Canada. So I'll use the example of an electrician. In the United Kingdom, similar to other countries, they have what's called 18th or 19th edition, and this is the license an electrician needs in order to be certified to be on the job. So they can come to Canada, to go to one of the provinces, and write the equivalent of the 18th edition electrical examination. So they've met all the top requirements. They don't have an offer of employment, but they have the license waiting for them to come to Canada. This is your skilled trades. You see, there's no education, there's no age. That's it. That's your qualifying criteria. Now, the majority, sorry, before we go there, Canadian experience class, so I put these slides out of order. Canadian experience class is even simpler. 1 year of experience in the last 3 years in Canada, and you qualify for Canadian experience class. No age, no language, no nothing. That's your qualifying criteria. If you've been paid in a skilled occupation for at least 1 year in the last 3. Can't get any easier. That's if you're on a work permit or you've been a student in Canada, which is very popular. The majority of you will qualify through skilled worker category. Skilled worker category takes a little bit more. Well, one is qualifying criteria. 6 qualifying criteria is there. I've been handing a note. Make sure you're typing your questions in, because when we get to the question and answers, when we get to the end, we're done. We don't wait for more questions to be asked. Qualifying criteria under federal skilled worker category are these 6: age, qualification, work experience, language, arranged employment, and adaptability. You're going to see here the word mandatory. You must have at least 1 year of skilled experience in the past 10 years in order to go forward. First one is age. Unlike other countries, we have no age cutoff in Canada. Maximum points will be between 18 and 35 years old. Will give you the most points on the skilled worker grid. Qualification. Having your high school or finishing secondary school is the minimum qualification you're going to have, and the maximum points you can get is PhD. So the higher your qualification, the more points you will obtain by having a 1-year diploma, trade certificate, bachelor's degree, postgraduate diploma, master's degree, and finally the highest points you can get is if you have a PhD. Your next one is your qualifying experience, which I talked about, work experience. It's mandatory. You need to have a minimum of 1 year in the last 10. Up to a maximum of 6 years is counted. Now, this qualification, you have a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, you get your points. And you have 2 years experience as a cook, you can still go forward. It does not have to be what you've qualified in, okay? And it can be multiple occupations. You might have 1 year as a cook, 2 years as a secretary, 3 years as a mechanic. You've got 6 years of skilled experience in the past 10 years. What's important when it comes to the skilled experience is what your definition is. So this is what's called the NOC, National Occupation Classification, and the tier structure. You have to be in the green boxes in order to go forward. So if your job is any of these occupations, you're not going to be able to go through the national program. You're going to have to find a back door, the provincial nomination, but that was our seminar on Tuesday, okay? So occupations that require human capital, your supervisors of your managers, supervisors, that's a skill, you're going forward. If you have an occupation that usually requires a degree, you're going forward. If you have an occupation that usually requires a diploma or apprenticeship, you're going forward. And if you have an occupation that usually requires a 1 year certificate at least, you're going forward. Basically, if the job you do could be taught to you in 1 hour, it's not considered skilled in Canada. You're going to find a difficult way of getting in. But again, not impossible. So you've got to make sure you've got the proper definition, because the immigration officer does not have to correct the code you use. And this is paramount, because it's not even a visa officer anymore. It's going to be AI. Next one is your language. Speak 2 languages, you are bilingual. Speak 3 languages, you are trilingual. Speak 1 language, you are, can't hear you, British. So 2 official languages in Canada, French and English. Everybody who's watching today will more than likely have to take the English test. And if you have a spouse or a partner, they're going to need to take the test too. You need to score well, okay? In order to pass this program, you need to score about 70%. Whereas the skilled trades, you need 40%. In this category, you'll need 70% at the minimum. But we do push our clients, and we do provide private tutors, and we get everybody to the 80% and above. Arranged employment. You've got a job offer in Canada waiting for you, or you have a work permit and you're already in Canada, then you get bonus points by having arranged employment. If you're not receiving any points for your age, because remember, it doesn't stop you, you just get 0 points, you will need a job offer in order to get the points under skilled worker. Finally, qualifying criteria with adaptability, you can score some bonus points. If you have a spouse or partner and they take the English or the French test, extra points for you. If you've worked 1 year in Canada or your partner has, extra points for you. If you have a close family relation in Canada or your partner does, extra points for you. Close family means brother, sister, mother, father, niece, nephew, son or daughter, grandmother, grandfather. First cousins don't count. Don't put down that you have an auntie in Toronto because she's been a family friend all your life. She feels like an aunt. If it's not your father's sister or your mother's sister, it's not your aunt as far as Canada's concerned. If you have that job offer, arranged employment here we give you bonus points again here. And if you have studied 2 years in Canada, whether you passed or not, you get extra points. So in order to qualify for skilled worker, you need 67 units of assessment, 67 points, and it's not hard to obtain. If you have a 2-year diploma, good English, 6 years of skill experience, you're probably going to get the 67 points. Now, we talk about express entry because it's not a visa category. It's only a management tool that regulates skilled worker, 67 points, skilled trades, 2 years in the last 5, CEC, 1 year in the last 3, or you've been nominated by a province. This is your express entry. You still have to qualify in one of those 4 rounds first. Now we go into the pool. And I like to equate this to the Olympic Games. That's why I put the Olympic rings there. The Olympics are every 4 years. And every 4 years, after people have been having their trials, their heats, and their relays in their home countries to show who's the best of the best in their home countries, then they get together at the Olympics every 4 years and they go into competition again. And they go through relays and races and they get to finals. And there's only 1, 2, 3 people that get a medal in any discipline in the Olympics. Express entries like the Olympics. Getting an invitation to apply for your permanent visa is like getting a medal. It doesn't matter if it's gold, silver, or bronze. You just want a medal. And those Olympic Games, fortunately, they're not every 4 years, but they're about every 2 weeks. We call people forward with the points that you have. So it's a different set of points if you're a single person or if you're a couple, but it's based over 1,200. First, you have to qualify 67 points, 2 years in the last 5, or 1 year of experience in Canada. Then you're waiting to be selected. Olympic Games or selections about every 2 weeks. Last one, 500 points. The highest score to date has been 886. The lowest score to date has been 413 and 199 if you're falling into the trades category. If you get a PMP certificate, it's 600 points. It's automatic selection. You're going to be selected by Canada no matter what, because you're going to be above that 500 threshold. If you're doing a business application with us, then you're getting those haloed 200 extra points to go forward. Once you've been selected, once you've submitted a file, plus or minus 6, 7, 8 months, you're going to see your permanent visa. Now, if you are abroad and you got your permanent visa, then you must come to Canada at least once in the first 6, 7 months of getting the visa. But if you're not ready to live here, you've got 3 years that you can return, but you still have your permanent visa. If you're already in Canada when you get your visa, then you can leave Canada for up to 3 years if you need to or if you so wish. So that's the privilege of the permanent residency going through express entry. But there's some potential barriers you're going to have to look at. Your English test, okay, or your French test is paramount. Too many people take this for granted. This is what's critical to your file. If you're coming from Jamaica, stop speaking patois to your family, okay? Start speaking English at home. Same thing with our Irish. They speak English, but they say tree, just like our Jamaicans do too. You've got to practice that English. You've got to get those top results. Or if you have an ability in French, the same thing for French. There are some other barriers to migration, but this is the one that people do not put the time, energy, and effort in because they have a degree in English or they've studied in England or they've done this. We all learn our bad habits. And you've got to speak goodlier than I do right now to pass that English test. Catch what I did there? Okay. Where you want to go is going to be completely up to you. Okay. You've got freedom of movement wherever you wish to go. And once you have a permanent visa, you might have said you want to go to Alberta, you can move to Ontario. You might want to live in Quebec, you can move to Alberta. It's completely up to you. And we help you with that relocation side of things. You can go. It's just up to you and what is the best way of actually doing it. So working with us, okay, we've got a relocation division, we've got an employment division, and we got your migration plan, which is going to be important. In order to get this migration plan, you're going to have a private meeting with us so we can determine all the categories that are available to you. So when we talk to you, we don't push you into one visa category. We're going to explain everything that you can do. It will make sense to you, what rises to the top, what makes sense for you. So we become your partner migration when it comes to your visa application. You've got to have this perfected from day one. Whether you're going to go for a work permit with an employer, whether you're going for the permanent visa, you normally don't get a second chance of making a first impression with these applications. Fact-finding trips, we help you with the relocation resettlement services. We are your partner, and that's what we're for, is to help you in every possible way. Up to you. So now this is the last time. If you're serious, pay attention because this will be up for the last time. The Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale is over as of this webinar because we've never done it this low. To have a private meeting with me or Helen, you need to do this evaluation worksheet. It's 4 pages. Page 1, it's your details. And if you have children, yes, you have to admit you have them if you do. All your details there. On page 2, we ask about your education, we ask about your work experience, and we ask about your language ability in English, French, and maybe you have a third language, because this can help you with a job, having that third language. On page 3, we talk about your money. See this here? We talk about your money. We don't sell these forms or give them to anybody. Too many people leave this section blank. Well, that will give you a false negative or a false positive. You've got to fill it in. Okay, be honest with us because we're going to be honest with you. If you have family in Canada or around the world, list them here. Your immigration plans, and if you have a spouse or partner, on page 4, their details, education, work experience, language capability. Now you're going to notice on page 4, okay, and this is the last time this bar is going up. So if you're interested in a private consultation, you press here at the top. On this form here, it talks about more money to be paid. No, if you go through the website, you've got the $35 total charge. Do not fill in your credit card details. And it's amazing how many people will come back and still say, do I have to pay again? $35 pays for your assessment and the meeting with me or Helen. But you do need to sign and date these forms to say what you've told us is true. So you've only got about a minute left on the green bar at the top, and this is the last time this discount's going to happen. We've never offered it this low before. When you go to the website, there will also be a confidential study supplement that you add on if you're interested, or a business supplement you can add on. These don't cost you any extras, they're just extra information. So here's what you need to know. The private consultation is 35 Canadian dollars. Whatever that works out into your currency is what it is, but it's discounted from 112. This is our Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale, and it finishes this weekend. It says Monday till midnight, but I actually think it might be Sunday till midnight. It's $35. That's it. That covers everything. From at the end of that meeting, you will have no questions. You'll know exactly how you can do it. Do you need a job? How you go about getting the job? What are the types of fees that are going to be involved for you? Me, government, airfares, moving, shipping. What's the budget going to be? All the little pieces that you're going to have to do. So you need this code, November 35. There's no space in that code. It's November 35, one word. Okay. You go through PayPal. If you have a PayPal account, fantastic. If you don't have a PayPal account, keep working your way all the way to the end as if you had a PayPal account. Then it will give you the option for Visa, MasterCard, or Amex. When you click on that, you're going to put add to basket. And when you get to the next screen, you're going to see here. And it's going to say apply coupon code here. And that's where you put in November 35. Once you press refresh or apply coupon, then you're going to see it's going to drop from $112 down to $35. And that green bar is gone. So hopefully, if you are interested, you have that opportunity. Private consultation, $35. We're going to have the meeting when you wish. Overview of all programs. That was on Monday. That one is finished. Going through the business migration. That was yesterday, and that's all done. And today, we're now finished with our final segment in our Canada You Can Go series, how to get a job and a work permit. If you are a truck driver, this Sunday, we do have a special truck expo where we have the employer online with us. We don't sell jobs, people. Okay, we're not going to promise you a job. We're not idiots. We're not cowboys. We're going to help you get a job. We don't promise you a job, but we have an employer on Sunday looking for truck drivers to be coming out to Alberta. Feel free to register if you are a truck driver. Okay. And finally, our 38th edition of our private client webinar will also be on Monday, but you got to be a client. So I don't know if any of our clients are here today. You can do a shout out if you are watching. When we have this evaluation done, we're going to set up a meeting with you at a convenient time for you. A lot of you will have different time zones, so it'll work out. I mean, we have meetings all the time. We're going to sit down and go through. Someone asked yesterday, how long is the meeting? The meeting will be as long as you need it to be. 10 minutes, 5 hours. Most meetings are going to be about an hour, hour and a half. Okay, we're going to go through everything step by step. So, oh, no, we've already had that one there. For those wishing to view it again, you can watch the YouTube channel. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all of these 3 days have been on YouTube. So if you missed a section, you can go back and watch it. You can check out our websites at brazelmigration.com and businessmigration.com. For those on YouTube, so you have a nice big, contact us at info@brazelgroup.com. And there we go. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. Now we're going to go into the question and answer session. Donna will be coming back to join us, and we're going to go through. So make sure you get those questions typed, because once we get to the end, we're done. We're done. We don't wait around for any more questions. So let's go here. Call to action, breakout, Q&A. Hello, Donna.
Hello.
Okay. Donna, Michael wants to know, how do you get a job offer in the tech field? Loose question.
The same way you get jobs in other fields, you have to apply to positions in Canada. So wherever you're looking at residing, you need to apply for those positions after researching the job boards, etc. So and meet the requirements. Depends what you do within the IT field. I'm assuming that's what you do, but it depends what you do within that sector would depend on the demand. But basically, there's no secret. You simply have to apply for the positions.
Wen would like to know, for immigration private consultation packet, is it a one-time off payment or will there be additional charges along the way? Wen, that evaluation and private meeting is $35. Anybody who's going to immigrate to Canada will be spending thousands of dollars. Trust me, you'll be spending thousands of dollars. How you spend it properly is what I'm going to help you with. You've got your airfares, moving and shipping, Canadian government charges, registration, English tests, credential evaluations. You've got lots of things you may not have thought about just yet. That $35 is just for the meeting. At the end of our meeting, if you wish to work with us, we'll give you a package, how it breaks down. Someone's going to ask, I know someone's going to say, how much does it cost? I can't answer because I don't know your profile yet. Are you single? Are you married? Do you have kids? Do you need a job offer? Do you need sponsorship? Do you have a criminal problem? So we go through that with you at your private meeting, one-on-one, and explain everything. You don't do anything until you've had all the information and you decide you want to work with us. Then you can start and go forward. And we have payment plans as well. Donna, for designated employers, do one need to have experience before you are assured of job offer and work permit?
You're using the word designated employers, so I'm not completely sure whether you're talking about what we in Canada talk about designated employers in terms of the Atlantic Immigration Program. The question, do one need to have experience before you're assured of job and work permit? If the position requires experience, then definitely you do need the experience. You need to meet the terms of the employment position. So it does depend on what you're applying for. If you are applying under that program, then it's a case of meeting the Atlantic Immigration Program criteria. So we'll be able to explain that to you if that's an option for you during the meeting.
So some employers need 1 year, some need 2 years, some of the program will dictate as well. Joy would like to know how to get work as a caregiver. I have 16 years experience working in one of our hospitals in Trinidad. Joy, I hope you did that because that's where your answers are going to come from, how you get a job as a caregiver. Ruth wants to know, what if I have 2 or 3 master's degree? Does it qualify me for PhD points? Ruth, I have 17 one-year diplomas. My highest qualification is still a 1-year diploma. So you'll get a master's degree equivalency. We can't combine them and make a PhD. It'd be nice, but no, we can't do that. For a couple, would we both have to go through the skilled worker program or is it similar to the work permit allocations? Beth, good question. When you do this form, we are going to help you decide who is going to be the lead applicant, and only one person qualifies for the whole family. Okay. Donna, Bridget wants to know, what about a job as an auto mechanic? What would that qualify? Either LMIA or NOC? I think there's a little bit of confusion there on Bridget's part, if you want to explain.
I think there's some confusion. It depends where the position's located. In most of Canada, an LMIA is required, but there are some provincial programs with a job offer that would allow you to proceed without an LMIA.
I've been handing a note. Everybody, you're getting one last chance. It's only going to be on for 1 minute. If you haven't had a chance to do the private consultation discount button, it's there for 1 minute left. That's it. We won't be doing this one again. So this is the last of the opportunities. So Ruth, if one have studied a 1-year program, do you get points for that? Well, Ruth, if it's a 1-year master's, that's different than a 1-year certificate. You'll get points for it. And if it's a 1-year certificate on top of a bachelor's, then that adds points as well. What do you mean by getting a business application having 200 points? Ruth, you should have joined us yesterday, because if you're going to invest some money into Canada, you can get a business work permit, and that would give you 200 points in express entry. Again, by having done this evaluation and having the private meeting with us, we'll be able to advise if that's a possibility for you. 10 seconds left on the discount evaluation. If a person is in Canada as a visitor, received a job offer, what type of work permit can this person apply for? The same type of work permit they can apply for if they leave the country, because we've had this question yesterday and we've had this a lot recently. Being in Canada on a visitor visa doesn't get you a work permit faster. But Donna, do they get better chances for an interview?
Well, yes, because they were in Canada, so they will be able to meet with the employer, etc., be able to build some sort of personal connection with the employer as well that you can't do online, unfortunately.
Corona wants to know, can a job offer be submitted without an LMIA?
It goes back to the same question, it's just the same answer as I was saying before about it depends whether the job offer requires an LMIA. There are some exemptions that apply. So some jobs or some individuals don't require LMIAs, and some programs don't require an LMIA because there are provincial programs available. So it's technically, I guess the question is yes. The answer to your question is yes, but it's not just about getting a job offer in your hand and submitting it. There are other processes to go through.
Thank you for that. Give me 1 second here. Not finding that, but I'll be back to this one in just a second, because going right out to this one, Michael, I tried to look you up, but I can't find you by the last name. I filled out the private consultation form before. Do I need to do it again? Michael, if you've had this, we talked about this yesterday. If you've had a meeting with me or Helen in the last 3 months up until beginning of July, if it was before that, you will have to do this again because too much has changed. We're going to have to do a reevaluation. If you've done it in the last 3-4 months, Michael, no, you don't need to do it or pay for it again. If not, you'll have to do it again, but it's at a very low rate today, lower than probably what you did. Nina, good question. Economic Mobility Pathways Pilot, one of the programs you consider based on the evaluation. Nina, we look at every possible visa category that will be eligible for you and yours, plain and simple. I shocked someone yesterday because they are one nationality, but the partner is a different nationality, which made the partner the lead candidate because of a special program based on their nationality. Yes, we look at all of this. That's what our 28 years is all about. Does a job in an auto mechanic shop qualify as a job? So Donna, I think maybe she has an unofficial job offer. Let's work it this way.
So basically, any occupation can qualify to proceed with eventually applying for a work permit for Canada. It's about the actual job offer and making sure that it meets criteria to either apply for an LMIA or through another program, whether that's a provincial program, a regional program, etc. So it's not the occupation that's going to qualify, it's the actual job offer and the process that has to be conducted by the employer.
So following on with Bridget, can a person who finished school at grade 9 qualify to come to Canada? So the technical answer is yes, because Donna, do the employers care what school they have? Let's use the mechanic. What would they have to do? Do they have to show they've got high school to be a mechanic? Or can they show experience?
Well, there's two lines here, because it's not only based on the employer. The employer is not going to, if you've got 10 years experience as a mechanic, they're not going to care if you completed high school or not. But of course, they've got to meet the requirements of the occupation in order to be able to proceed with applying for a work permit, or potentially one of those provincial programs, because some of the provincial programs have requirements for education, at least high school. So it does depend, but it's not an outright no. If the employer doesn't require it and they say that experience will qualify them, then that should be fine. But again, it's going to depend on the occupation.
Because Bridget, using the example as a mechanic, in order to get the mechanic license, Donna, is it not you have to prove like 9,000 hours of experience? Paper helps, but you can actually challenge the exam based on having 15 or 10 years experience, correct?
Every trade certification in Canada is based on experience. So if you're a tradesperson, for the actual trade licensing, it doesn't matter what certification you've got. That can definitely help, but it doesn't qualify you to challenge the exams in Canada, you have to have the required amount of hours. So depending on the type of mechanic, it can range from about 4,000 to I think that it might be 6,000 or 7,000, depending on the type of mechanic and etc. So
the number of hours you need to prove.
Yes, the number of hours. So it'd be between 3 and 5 years usually that they have to prove, and it's all broken down into hours.
Joy, I'm going to try and answer this question. Are there companies that offer sponsorship? If you're asking, are there companies that will pay for everything, then don't hold your breath. We are a very popular country when it comes to immigration. So employers are getting the pick of new immigrants who are qualified on their own, who are able to make an application without needing a job offer. They don't need to do this. I mean, the year 2000 was the last time I heard of companies paying. Now, we do have employers that we work with that might offer you a package once they've hired you, but you are responsible for your own immigration, not them. The job offer with the LMA is not sponsoring you. They've sponsored the job, not you. Okay. Oh, look at this question. Michael, how does your company make you different from a local employment agency? Well, Donna is working for you. Donna is not working for the employer. The local employment agency is working for the local employer. Donna is keeping her eyes and ears open for the country. The local employment agency is only looking in that city. We represent the client. We don't represent the employer. Difference between NOC and LMIA. Well, the LMIA is Labor Market Impact Assessment, which you need to use the NOC, which is the National Occupation Classification. As we said before, request a copy of the slides because all the abbreviations are there. The NOC is just a definition of all jobs in Canada. Emmanuel, I'm trying to pay for my form, but I made a mistake and clicked for, I need to pay for one. What can I do now? Did you buy 4 of them, Emmanuel? We can help you out with that afterwards. Or you can pass it on to 3 friends, sell it at a higher price to them. But yeah, we can help you with that if you bought 4 of them, Emmanuel. No worries. And I think our last question, to Beth. Does job as a care assistant qualify as a job offer? That's for you, Donna.
Well, very similar question to what we've had. So if you can secure a job offer in Canada, it's about the actual job offer meeting the criteria of the program that you're going to be, or the employer is going to be applying under. So if it's based on an LMIA, that then you then apply for a work permit, then the job offer has to meet the wage requirement. It has to meet the requirements that the employer is going to be offering you the same conditions that they offer their Canadians. So it's all about what's in the job offer rather than the actual occupation.
Forgot, Michael, something else. What makes us different? Well, my 28 years, I enjoyed a 96% success record. Can't talk about a local agency. Latoya wants to know, do you need a certificate to apply as a caregiver?
Personal support workers in some provinces, yes, but not all caregivers, no. Childcare, yes, but not necessarily if you're providing personal childcare in a home. So that does depend, but it's not mandatory if you've got experience, but you may be limited to where you can go.
And that will tell you all once we talk to you. Can you do an application for someone on a work permit in the UK and the spouse in Jamaica? Sachelle, you must be friends with our other clients because we've probably got about 3 sets of clients who one's in London and the other one's in Kingston. Yes, it doesn't matter. You could be in different locations. It doesn't affect the application. We just do a Skype at the same time with both people at the same time. So Donna, that brings us to the end of our questions in this format. So we're back to, again, everybody, get the encouragement. You can go. We are Immigration Plus because we talked to you about all 3 sections, which you may or may not have even thought about before. Please, 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 if you've watched, has anybody ever watched another person's webinar? Put it in the chat room. If you ever watched anybody else's, any other companies, because please go to Google, please go to Facebook, give us a review. Hopefully it's 5 stars because people are looking for the proper information. We've had more and more people saying, how do you fill out and get the form? I'm going to ask Sarah to type in the link and the discount code. See how we put it up one extra time that we said we weren't even going to do it. So it's the last chance to get the discounted consultation with us at 35 Canadian dollars. Please, please, please give us our review. And today, if you've been following us over the last couple of days, Donna, I think we're going to finish off with Canadian gangster rap. What do you think?
I think so. Look how dark it's got here.
This?
It's very dark. Well, it's just gone dark, I guess, because we're an hour ahead of you. So
that is correct. That is correct. Perfect. Elena Lazari, we look forward to meeting you. You've watched it. Definitely, this is the most. There's a compliment there. Definitely, this is the most complete presentation I've seen. Thank you. Thank you very much. So let's have a little bit of a giggle. We'll watch a video to finish things off. Everybody, good luck. God bless. Get your forms to us. It takes about 1, 2, 3 days to get your response back. And then we are going to have a private meeting with you one-on-one. Take a look at the discount code, get to the link, and we will see you soon. Thank you, Donna, for joining us.
Thank you, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.
As I walk down the alley in a hoodie to Tim's, I think it's nice outside, but realize it's -10. Cause I've been acclimatized for so long that no matter what the weather is, I never get cold. And I ain't ever seen a forecast that made me worry. Dressed like it's summer in a -30 flurry. I'm the kind of hoser all the homies wanna be like band knees outside, but they're never gonna freeze. Cause I've been spending most our lives living in Canadian paradise, playing stick puck on the ice, living in Canadian paradise. You can never be too polite, living in Canadian paradise. All I gotta say is friggin' right. Living in Canadian paradise. Look at the situation when you're Canadian. You can't step outside without getting refrigerated. So I gotta go out in a plain tee. I could never let the weather get the best of me. Full blizzards after flurries, knocking out the power. Y'all would probably worry, been out a couple hours. Everybody stripping, panicking and stressing. I never even noticed I was outside sledding. They say I gotta learn to dress better when it's freezing, but when you're a Canadian, this weather feels peachy. I guess I'm built a little different from the other folks, so I ain't even wear a coat when the others froze. Why are we so fine with freezing? I suppose we're just a different breed. Been spending most our lives living in Canadian paradise, playing stick puck on the ice, living in Canadian paradise. You can never be too polite, living in Canadian paradise. All I gotta say is friggin' right, living in Canadian paradise.